We are rolling out of Whitehorse this morning. I have a new passenger with me. Picked up Allison from the airport. She flew in from Calgary. She's going to be here on the trip for the next 12 days-ish while we go up to Tuktoyaktuk. And we just hit a big milestone in the trip. We turned off the Alaska Highway and onto the Klondike Highway. Now we're going to take the Klondike up to, I believe, the Dempster, and then getting onto some dirt. I feel like we're getting pretty far north.
After 6 months of late nights in the garage and one too many sparks to the face, our old Tacoma was finally ready, or at least ready enough to hit the road. We've patched, welded, and rebuilt this truck just to make it roll again. And after all that, it did. So far on this trip, we've managed to travel 2,000 kilometers through Alberta, northern BC, and made it to Whitehorse in 5 days without a single breakdown. But this is just the beginning. Now the real test begins to see if this truck has what it takes to get up past the Arctic Circle and back.
You can get a little lost back in here.
With Allison now joining the trip, we're heading north again, pushing deep into the Yukon and Northwest Territories, with our eyes set on the end of the road at Tuktoyaktuk. The truck's running strong for now, but time will tell just how good of a job we did piecing it back together. This is episode 2, Whitehorse to the Arctic. The crew on this adventure is a small one, but one of the best groups of people I've ever traveled with. My fiancée Allison, who's had the experience of completing a crossing of Australia with me in 2024. My long-term friend and the only other person I know who consistently says yes to these crazy kinds of undertakings, John, and myself. Together, the three of us are facing one of our biggest challenges to date. But with a little teamwork, determination, and a bit of luck, we're confident we can make it to the end of the road. Before leaving Whitehorse, we make a stop at the famous Transportation Museum to explore how people have navigated this northern landscape for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Transportation has always been a cornerstone of society and its development, and seeing the ingenious ways in which people have traveled through this rugged part of the world is truly fascinating.
So, like a lot of people who are interested in aviation, I have a thing for beaver aircrafts made by de Havilland. I've flown on a few de Havilland aircrafts over the years in BC, flying from like Vancouver to Vancouver Island and around the coast area. Hopefully we're looking to get into a bush plane somewhere along this trip as well. So we're just in the aviation hangar portion of this museum. Obviously the north, like Alaska and Yukon and Northwest Territories and British Columbia, have big aviation histories because bush planes are the only way to actually get around to some of these really remote places. So it's really cool to see just how big the aviation history is in these places, and really get a feel for it in a museum like this.
This massive machine is the LCC-1 Snow Train, a Cold War-era overland transport vehicle designed by the U.S. Army. This colossal machine was built to traverse the harsh Arctic terrain, including ice, snow, and rugged brush, areas where traditional vehicles struggled to operate.
So we're in the Walmart parking lot right now in Whitehorse, and I'm gonna try to grease up my leaf springs a little bit because they are starting to creak and make some weird noises. I tried to get it sorted out before we left, but I couldn't get it sorted out, so it's making some really horrible noises at slow speeds when the truck is going over some potholes or bumps, whatever. Just, I don't know why, but these leaf springs are just super creaky. I mean, if you come over here and listen. So that's the noise, if you could hear that, and it gets pretty bad when we're actually driving the truck. So I just did a quick search here, and like a quick band-aid fix for something like that when the leaves are rubbing against each other creating that noise is just some of this stuff here. It's a silicone lubricant spray. So we're gonna give that a shot. I already put some on yesterday, but I don't think I put enough on, so we're gonna do a little bit more of this stuff.
this fix will have to do for now, until the leaf springs either wear in on their own or we're able to find a solution. We're officially on the road again, headed north. It's not far outside of Whitehorse that we pick up the Klondike Highway, a major arterial route through the Yukon. But to be honest, this road doesn't really feel like a major thoroughfare. The Klondike stretches over 700 kilometers, linking the Yukon's capital of Whitehorse to the historic gold rush town of Dawson City. Built in the 1950s and 60s, the road traces routes first carved by prospectors during the Klondike gold rush of the late 1890s. Winding through rugged mountains, dense forests, and wide river valleys, driving it today feels like retracing the footsteps of history, with every bend a reminder of the determination and grit that shaped this northern frontier.
By now on the trip, you've seen that we've gotten a lot of rain overnight. It has rained almost every night that we've tried to camp. The one night we were in a hotel, which was last night in Whitehorse, it did not rain. Interesting what the camping gods are providing with us, but we showed up to this beautiful, lovely lake camp spot off of the Klondike Highway, and it is raining now, but we're hoping that it's going to blow over. There's also some lightning in the area, so I don't want to get all set up and then have a bunch of lightning force us to take down camp. So I don't know. It was pouring when we came in, but seems to be lightening up a little bit. Hopefully we can stay here tonight because it's pretty nice.
The storm blows over and the sun comes out, so we take the opportunity to deploy camp for the evening. But something tells me this won't be the last of the storm that we'll be seeing today. Day one on the Klondike has given us a glimpse into what northern Canada is all about, and a good sense of what we can expect over the next several weeks on the road.
Rain, it's really coming down now. Oh my goodness. And it's starting to get windy too. We're kicking up quite a storm right now. It's been thundering and lightning for quite a while. It just seems to be going like back and forth over us. Looks like it's gonna clear up and then it just buckets down again. It's starting to hail now too. This just keeps getting worse and worse. Well, my shoes are going to be a little bit wet. So we survived our hailstorm last night. That was pretty crazy. I've never camped in a storm like that, or it's been a long time since we've camped in a storm like that. So thankfully nothing got damaged. The worst thing that happened was my shoes got a bit waterlogged. Yeah, and then it just kind of blew over and we had a nice night at camp. No rain or anything overnight, which turned out to be pretty nice. So today we are making it, I think we're gonna make it onto the Dempster Highway today, and a couple stops in between. We're just rolling out right now to another little lake. So we're just gonna kind of pull off the Klondike Highway, I think a few times, fuel up in Stewart Crossing, get onto the Dempster, see a couple things, do a couple things. So let's do it. The Klondike Highway's been pretty cool, actually. It feels more like a back road than a major highway in this province. It's pretty crazy. There are potholes and frost heaves literally everywhere, so you have to be super vigilant. Otherwise, you will. Your entire wheel will be lost in a gigantic pothole. And there are no shoulders. Like, there are gravel pullouts every so often, but the shoulders is just a thin gravel strip, and it's not maintained on either side of the road, which really makes it feel like a back road, because when you're on a major highway in a province or a state, usually somebody is cutting the grass on either side of the highway. But on this highway, on the Klondike, There's no maintenance on either side of the road. I don't know why they do that. It is considered one of the major highways, and it's just crazy to see how wild it is. I mean, we're not even on dirt, and it's feeling like quite the adventure up here.
We're on a bit of a clock. Just 14 days to make it to Anchorage, Alaska, so Allison can catch her flight home. 14 days might sound like plenty, but once you factor in the sheer distance we need to cover, it starts to feel pretty tight. We went back and forth about detouring down the remote road to Ethel Lake, worried it might put us behind schedule, but we're so glad we did. The 60-kilometer round trip turned out to be one of the highlights of our entire time up north. It was a good reminder. If there's something you really want to see or do on your adventure, make the time and push to do it. Most often, you can find the time to make up later. Spending time at Ethel Lake was incredible, but it's soon time to move on to what will be one of the biggest challenges of the entire journey, the Dempster Highway. For overlanders and travelers heading north, this is the one. The road that defines the Yukon and the Northwest Territories, stretching more than 700 kilometers from just outside Dawson City all the way to the Arctic Ocean, it's Canada's only all-season road that crosses the Arctic Circle. It's remote, unpredictable, and notoriously hard on vehicles, but it's also one of the most breathtaking views on Earth. For us, reaching the start of the Dempster feels like crossing a threshold. Everything we've done up to this point, the long hours in the garage, the thousands of kilometers behind us, has led to this moment. From here on out, the road gets rougher, the weather harsher, and the stakes higher. When I set out to rebuild this old Tacoma, this is the road I was imagining to build it for. This was the road I had envisioned in my mind to be the one true test. I wanted a truck that's tough enough to withstand the continual strain of this relentless road, to be able to make it out and make it back. So here we are, the beginning of the gateway to the north, the Dempster Highway. Let's put it all on the line and see just what kind of adventure we get ourselves into. The next service stop from here is Eagle Plains, a 370-kilometer push. We've decided to carry extra fuel with us for insurance purposes. I have no doubt that the truck can go 370 Ks without having to fuel up. The real reason to carry extra fuel out here is in case of a turnaround. If, for whatever reason, we make it to Eagle Plains and there's no fuel, or we have to turn back at some point, that 370 Ks could easily double, and that is where things can go very badly if ill-prepared. Nothing is guaranteed out here, so you better be self-aware and self-sufficient.
Beginning of the Dempster Highway.
I think it's around 800 kilometers.
Yeah.
You're Irish too, aren't you?
Scottish.
Scottish. Can I do this here?
Huh?
Can I do either here or...
You're fine, take your time, you're good. You want a picture of me? Take a picture of you?
Yeah, why not? Thanks.
Start of the Dempster Highway. Just make a stop at the sign. Now we have about
about 800 Ks to Tuk. We just fueled up, got the jerry can full, got the trucks full. Our longest stretch now without fuel will be between this point and Eagle Plains, and that's going to be about 370 Ks, and then it'll be the last push to Tuktoyaktuk. So let's go start the Dempster Highway.
We are on the Dempster Highway. We knocked some pressure out of the tires, went down to first 25 and then lower because it's actually pretty rough. Now we're hovering right around 20 psi in the tires. But man, just right off the bat, these views are incredible. Mountain ranges are just so vast. They're different than the Rocky Mountains that I'm used to. They're a bit smaller, but I don't know. It's incredible out here. The landscape is just huge.
We're expecting to be on the Dempster for the next 6 to 7 days, depending on times and schedule. 3 days up to Tuk, 1 day in Tuk, and 3 days back down. Starting this road really feels like we've stepped into some sort of magical portal that will transport us to a far-off land. The feeling I've noticed is the lack of distraction, the lack of needing to be doing anything else, because there is nothing else to be doing other than driving this road. All other responsibilities have seemingly melted away, leaving just this one. Not many things in life can demand such undivided attention. When you find something like that and immerse yourself in it, it can be one of the most rewarding experiences. Happy to have made it to our first camp on the Dempster, we set up just off the road, surrounded by endless tundra and jagged peaks, fading into the horizon. The air is cool, still, and heavy with that northern silence you only find this far from anywhere. Light rain is expected overnight. It should make for interesting conditions tomorrow. When the road is dry, the Dempster feels almost like a true highway. You can carry tremendous speed, and the biggest challenge becomes dodging the massive transport trucks that barrel down the gravel. But when the rain moves in, everything changes. The same road that felt wide open just hours earlier turns slick and unpredictable. Soft shoulders and crowned surfaces can swallow a vehicle and their driver in seconds if concentration is broken even for a moment. We stopped to help assess a situation where the driver of this large expedition vehicle found himself a little too close to the shoulder of the road. Before he could protest, the shoulder gave way and dragged the heavy truck off the road and into the ditch. Luckily, no one was hurt and the truck experienced minimal damage. He's got a wrecker on the way now to help winch the truck out of the ditch. We continue on with our journey, inching closer and closer to Eagle Plains. It comes with no surprise that motorcycle travel is not recommended out here, but as we'll soon come to find, there are a hardy bunch of people in this world who love the thrill of an extreme challenge.
Holy moly, we are rolling into Eagle Plains as we speak. We're about 3 kilometers out from the lodge. Apparently there's a restaurant here. I'm really not sure what to expect, how big this place is. I mean, if there's a restaurant, you would think that it's a fairly large settlement, but it could just be a restaurant in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to a hot cup of coffee and a full tank of gas. How do we do on fuel? We are at just above a quarter tank.
for fuel, and we did not have to use our jerry can. I could probably push it to 450, so it's good to know. But after Eagle Plains, then it's on to Inuvik. The Dempster has been magnificent so far. I can't believe how beautiful this place is. I mean, the mountain range coming into the Dempster, that first mountain range that you go through, is just spectacular. It reminds me of what you might see in Iceland, because there's no trees, but these massive mountains in the Canadian tundra. It's really incredible, this highway, and I can't believe how long it is. Oh, we're here. We are in Eagle Plains. Welcome to Eagle Plains.
There we are.
What? Is he okay?
EMS. Wow.
There's the restaurant.
That was a little bit of a push. Oh, really? Okay. They're cool. I've heard they get shut down sometimes. I was wondering if that's right. Such a big
Reaching Eagle Plains feels like finding an oasis in the middle of nowhere. After hours of gravel, wind, and tundra stretching endlessly in every direction, this little outpost is a welcome sight. It's the only stop for food and fuel and a proper cup of coffee for hundreds of kilometers in either direction. Inside, the restaurant hums with the sound of travelers, trading stories, truckers, cyclists, and overlanders, all drawn here by the same stretch of road. The coffee isn't fancy, but it's hot and strong, and after days of dust and cold, that's all you really need. Sitting here, watching the trucks roll past the window, you can't help but feel a mix of gratitude and disbelief. Halfway up the Dempster and somehow still moving north. With our stomachs full of comfort food and our caffeine levels restored, we top up the tanks with the most expensive fuel of the entire trip. The price definitely stings the wallet, but out here, beggars can't be choosers. When there's only one pump for hundreds of kilometers, you pay what it costs to keep on rolling north.
Tell me what you paid in that one place in,
wherever. Probably the most remote gas station I've ever been to. Had a lovely little lunch in the Eagle Plains Hotel and Restaurant. Now we're about 20 Ks away from crossing into the Arctic Circle. I'm looking at the Arctic Circle in front of me for the very first time in my life. Actually, I've flown over the Arctic Circle before, but I will have never stood in the Arctic Circle. Until now, we are about to come up to the sign and officially cross over the line. A monumental stop for this trip. We have reached the Arctic Circle! Woo! We've officially crossed into the Arctic Circle. From here, it's not far until we leave the Yukon territory behind and enter the wild expanse of the Northwest Territories, a place few people will ever see, and even fewer by way of the road.
Just rolling up to the Northwest Territories border right now. We are exiting the Yukon. At the Northwest Territories border, we make friends with a trio of adventure bikers who are on a mission to complete the Dempster and its sister highway, the Dalton. The Dalton is Alaska's version of the Dempster, a long dirt road leading to Dead Horse, Alaska, and the Arctic Ocean. These are the only two roads in North America that go this far north. These bikers are the real deal. Dust-covered, road-weary, and grinning ear to ear. They've been battling the same weather, mud, and endless gravel that we have, only with nothing but a pair of tires between them and the road. I have incredible respect for the people who take on adventure biking. If we thought the Yukon felt big and vast, I don't even know how to begin describing the Northwest Territories. Right off the bat, this place has me speechless. The highway stretches on endlessly, carving through an ancient landscape so raw and untouched it feels like another planet. Every bend reveals something new, something bigger, something that makes you realize just how small you really are out here. The Dempster just keeps on giving, mile after mile after mile after mile of pure, unfiltered north. So along this journey, we have to cross two rivers, Peel River and the Mackenzie River. And in order to cross those rivers, you have to get on a short little ferry ride. So the Dempster's broken by these rivers. So we're gonna get off the Dempster onto the ferry and then get on the Dempster at the other side, pick it back up again, and then same thing for the second ferry across the Mackenzie River. We are coming up to the first ferry. This feels crazy because talking about the ferries a few days ago just felt like such a mystical, faraway place. You know, when we get to the ferries, it will be this or we'll do this. And now we're coming up to our first ferry. Crossing ever. This map shows a detailed description of the Peel and Mackenzie river crossings. The yellow line is the Dempster Highway, and the red X's are where the road is broken by a river and needs to be crossed by a ferry. We're crossing the Peel right now, soon searching for camp. Stopping between the two river crossings, we find a nice man-made free campground on the outskirts of Fort McPherson to call home for the evening.
I was in a kayak, but most people do.
The next morning, we're met with more rain. I'm surprised at just how much moisture the Yukon and Northwest Territories experience. Before returning to the saturated Dempster, we roll through town and stop into a fish camp to talk with the locals and learn about their way of life in this unforgiving environment. The fish camp is a humble collection of plywood buildings, blue and green tarps, and smokehouses that tell the story of generations surviving off the Peel River. The locals here welcome us in with that quiet northern hospitality, proud but unpretentious about the life they lead out here. They showed us how they catch the fish from the river, clean and smoke them, and then transform their haul into strips of dry, smoky jerky that fuel them through the long days on the land. We tried some ourselves. Chewy, salty, and unapologetically real, with that unmistakable taste of river fish and wood smoke. Nothing fancy, but it's honest. A reminder that up here, food isn't about indulgence. It's about staying alive, staying strong, and staying connected to the land that provides. It's hard to pull ourselves away from the fish camp. There's so many interesting things to learn and absorb. These places have a way of grounding you and reminding you what living off the land really means. Soon enough, though, it's time to get back on the road. The overnight rain has turned this highway into a greasy, slippery mess, and the trucks are wearing the livery to prove it. It's now time to get ourselves across the Mackenzie River. So we've just crossed the Mackenzie River on our way to Inuvik, and then from there it'll be the rest of the way up to Tuktoyaktuk today. The Dempster Highway has been pretty good so far, but it rained overnight and this whole area has just turned from dust into this muck, and the trucks are just getting absolutely covered in this stuff, and every vehicle that we pass coming the opposite direction has even more mud than we have, so it looks like it's just going to get pretty sloppy up this road. We've slowed down a little bit. We got the truck in four-wheel drive because some of these turns are a little hectic, and we just don't want to go sailing off the edge of the road. We have just completed the Dempster Highway. We are entering Inuvik. We're actually back on pavement, which is incredibly weird after so many kilometers of dirt. The trucks are an absolute disaster in a good way. I mean, they're absolutely filthy. I don't think I've ever seen this much mud on these trucks without like purposefully going mudding, right? Just from driving up the highway, and we have like a thick coating of mud all over everything. So that's going to be interesting if we decide to break out the tent tonight, climbing up in the tent. Welcome to Inuvik. It is top of the world up here. I mean, when you look on a map, we're surrounded by like hundreds of lakes and rivers, and we're so close to the Arctic Ocean. And if all goes right, we're going to fuel up in Inuvik, grab some lunch here, stop at the visitor center for some sort of certificate that says we drove the entire Dempster Highway. So we're gonna try to find that and then get on up to Tuktoyaktuk this afternoon. But I'm just amazed to actually be up here. It's so beautiful, and it doesn't feel as remote anymore. It felt more remote down in Eagle Plains, but here it feels pretty civilized actually. We're northbound outside of Inuvik now on the all-new Tuk Road that was completed only a few years ago in 2017. And just as we start to wonder if the road will ever really end or if the continent stretches on forever, we see it. The sign. The ultimate sign. The one that tells you the finish line is near. We're now less than 10 kilometers from Tuktoyaktuk, the end of the road, after having completed the legendary Dempster Highway. It's one of those moments you never forget. One of the greatest in a lifetime of adventures. There's only one thing left to do. Make the push ourselves across the finish line and take it all in. We are 6 kilometers away from Tuktoyaktuk. We are going to be crossing into the town limits here, the settlement limits here, within a few minutes. I can't believe it. We are about to be at the end of the road, the end of the world up here. It's incredible. This is the furthest that you can drive in Canada, one of the only roads in North America that goes this far north. So we're about to get to the end of the road. I can't believe we are about to roll into Tuk. Oh my gosh, so excited. We made it to the end of the road. Actually, we're not at the end of the road yet. We're still, our next point is the Arctic Ocean, and that will be the end. But welcome to Tuktoyaktuk. Yeah. camp was an interesting experience here, with almost 24-hour sunlight. At one point in the evening, I looked up to see the sun almost dip down below the horizon, but just as it did, it started to rise again. We're definitely thankful for our blacked out tent to sleep in.
Check out the restaurant, then we're going to go do our polar plunge, grab a few photos of the town.
Yeah. Alright, I'll call you just a little bit and then Bruce, the same thing. We take the morning to look around and experience the furthest north town that you can drive in Canada, and no Tuktoyaktuk adventure is complete without a quick polar plunge into the frigid waters of the Arctic Ocean.
did it! We did our Arctic Ocean plunge! Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of our Northern Adventure. In the next episode, we really crank things up with a big push into the last frontier, Alaska. Well, we are officially turning south from Tuk, headed back down into Alaska over top of the World Highway. We have reached our furthest north point on the trip, and the furthest north point you can drive in Canada. Pretty much everything is south from here, so let's turn south and start getting after it.